For the first time since 2017, which was also the same year they won the last finals game, the Brisbane Broncos are through to the 2023 preliminary final after, let's face it, an absolute pumping of the Melbourne Storm. And if I could have made this video after the first 60 minutes or so, I would have come here and talked about how much fun that was, how much good game that was, how much of a good contest it was. But I won't lie, the Papenhuyzen injury really sucked the life out of me. That was really devastating, you know. Not to bring everything back to my team, but when it happens to Turbo, it's just a gut kick. It's just a kick straight to your knackers. And seeing it happen to Papenhuyzen again after the dude scratched, he fought, he clawed back. Over a year it took him to come back. And to see that injury, a compound ankle fracture, poke him through the sock, according to Cameron Munster in the post-match interview. The one injury that happens maybe once a year. I can't even remember the last time we saw that. And it happened to Ryan Papenhuyzen just when he came back from last year's injury. The fact that this guy has to come back from 2 injuries that like 10 years ago would have ended someone's career is absolutely insane. I hope he comes back to his best. So if I do sound down for this video, I do apologise to you Brisbane Broncos fans, because you deserve to be absolutely sucked off to an edge of your life, because the Brisbane Broncos, for the first time in 14 games, have knocked off the Melbourne Storm, and it wasn't close by any means. It was a slow, torturing, really. 8-0 after the first half. You thought that Brisbane actually were pretty more dominant than that scoreline should have suggested. You guys will not know how many takes that took, but the Melbourne Storm had nothing for this Brisbane Broncos defence, and that defence allowed the Broncos to lay the platform to pick up a huge win. Paddy Carrigan, Payne Haas, Tommy Flegler, Jordan Ricky, the Brisbane Broncos forward pack. I said it in my finals preview. On paper and the way they played tonight, they proved why they are the best forward pack in the competition. Now, I say that they're the best. I do believe Penrith are more dominant, but if anyone's going to be able to dominate those Penrith Panthers, it's going to be this Brisbane Broncos forward pack. And I tell you what, now that Brisbane are through to a prelim final, it was an awful night for the Melbourne Storm. I thought they looked their best when, unfortunately, young Tonomapia, look, I get it. I get he was in better form. I get Bellamy had dropped Justin Olam earlier, but I'll be surprised if he plays another game in this final series. He missed 3 tackles that came to tries. He made that obstruction for the one break they scored to. Unfortunately, it was the same player where Xavier Coates. It looks like he's going to go off injured, and he was another one of their best tonight, the Melbourne Storm. I thought he was probably the Storm's best player. Papenhuyzen was up there as well. The injury absolutely sucks because he tried his absolute dick off tonight. He was absolutely incredible. And I thought the other guy that made a difference was in his initial first stint, Nelson Asofa-Solomona. But outside of those first 3, the Melbourne Storm really struggled to create anything tonight. I can't even remember a play where they looked threatening outside of that one play, like I said, where young Tonomapia caused the obstruction. I can't even remember a time where any sort of a forward, because they don't really play, like I know Josh King's the lock, but they don't really have that ball playing lock forward. I can't even remember a time that the ball playing forward linked up with both Munster and Hughes. I can't even remember Munster and Hughes sharing the ball in the one play. If anyone's going to be able to turn this around, it's Craig Bellamy. But I tell you what, they're going to be losing Ryan Papenhuyzen, and that is going to suck all the balls in the world. Whether you're a Melbourne fan or not, just seeing that at the end of the game was so shit. It was awful to see, and yeah, talk about a straight kick to your dick. That was so upsetting. But Brisbane's forwards, Paddy Carrigan, Payne Haas, Tommy Flegler, I tell you what, all the talk about how these guys were going to be afraid to play their first finals game, they came out and Paddy Carrigan in the first set was ready to throw down with all his Origin teammates. So he's the best middle forward in the competition for me. He's the most well-rounded forward in the competition. You probably have Jake's the best defender, but you got Paddy Carrigan second. Sal Malolo's the best ball carrier. You put Paddy Carrigan probably second. Yo's the best ball player. Guess what? Carrigan's probably second or third behind Murray. In my opinion, he's easily the best middle forward in the competition. And you pair him with a generational prop in Payne Haas. But as good as they were in attack, and it took them a while to get going, the Brizzy Bronx, but I tell you what, their defense was absolutely incredible. They're through to their first grand final qualifier since Ben Hunt was at the club. Their first finals win since 2017 Week 2, which was over our baby Penrith Panthers. So I can't wait to see it. It'll be interesting to see who they play in the prelim. If I had to put money on it, it's probably either going to be the Wars or maybe the Newcastle Knights, which I tell you, Reece Walsh, Kalen Ponga, I can't wait to see that if it does eventuate. It does suck that SJ is out, but maybe it just sets up, because that'll actually be a sick prelim final. Walshy going to the Broncos from the Warriors bringing in Chance tomorrow, Martin, he's gone to the Warriors. That'll be sick. Obviously, a bunch of games to play out before then. The Melbourne Storm, it's going to be hard for them to bounce back, not just physically, because they were dominated at first contact and everything like that. Like, you were watching it, and it was like, and this is going to be a huge compliment to the Broncos, but they looked like Penrith from last year's final series. They didn't give him an inch. It's going to be interesting to see how Melbourne bounce back, especially, I don't know what that Papenhuyzen injury does to them. We see what it does to Manly when Turbo goes down. So I know they don't rely on him much on the actual on-field, but just from a psychological standpoint, surely that's going to rattle a few of those boys, especially the senior players of that Melbourne Storm side. But I do think that with the longer turnaround, I know it's only an extra day, but that'll definitely help him. You need all the rest you can get. They'll be at home, and I do still give him a big chance over the Storm, not the Storm. I give the Storm a big chance over the Sharks or the Roosters, especially, look, all they need is Grant, Hughes, or Munster to have a big game. Unfortunately, none of them did tonight, but it'll be interesting to see how they go next week. As for the Broncos right now, if they're not there on grand final day, as good as the season's been, it's going to be a disappointment because they are looking red hot. And all the best to Papenhuyzen as he recovers from injury. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comment section down below. What did you think of the first qualifying final of this 2023 NRL Final Series? Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.